What's up there, guys? Welcome back to Digger Detecting. Welcome also to a spectacular morning out in the bush. We're finding the gold, and we're going to show you that today as well, but mainly our video today is going to be focused on the GPX-6000 here by Minelab, and we're going to be talking about noise cancelling, ground balancing, EMI noise, and look, settings I run, and look, everything I've learned in the last 12 months relating to this machine, and not just relating to the GPX-6000, I will say. Look, it will relate to other PI machines and gold hunting in general out in the gold fields for you as well. So don't switch off if you don't have a 6000, because it could just help you in future as well. So 10 minutes in and we're already on the gold. We've got gold in that little rock there. I'm going to actually zoom in because I didn't show you properly. Gold in the little rock there, and the key to this area is the gold is trapped in the sandstone and the quartz and the slate, but mainly the sandstone in this area. And we take home a lot of these pieces and crush them up. And what's magnificent is, yes, it's small, but it all adds up, and it adds up quite quickly too. We've pulled over 1/2 ounce of gold out of here just in the last, well, 3 weeks. It's crazy, I know, but some days going home with 4.5, 5 grams, and other days going home with at least 1/2 gram to 1 gram. It all depends on the work you put in. So we're going to put those 2 little pieces in there. They were found with a detector by themselves, but this guy here was found with a detector, obviously in a stone form, and I don't want to break him up anymore because we just don't want to lose any gold. We'll take it home, crush it and pan it. But as we find the gold today, as I said, main thing is settings, tips, tricks. We're going to run through everything on the 6000 that I can think of, starting from startup. So let's turn him off and let's turn him back on, and let's show you the startup process and move on from there. All right, well, we just seen those bits of gold come out, and they were the settings that I was running to find them. However, as I said, we are going to start from the start. So let's scrap this, turn it off, and as I said, we'll pretend like we just walked out in the field here, and we're going to turn on the 6000 and start finding the gold. So take the headphones off for a second. First thing I'm going to show you is a bit of a trick. And if you have not done this and you've owned a 6000 for a while, well, I recommend you do it. So what we're going to do is run a quick factory preset. So disregard what I just said, walking out in the field and turning on. You don't have to do this every time, but I like to do it sort of once a month. I generally do it, because what you're doing when you shoot noise cancels is you're opting to tell the machine to blank out that channel. And it actually saves that blanked out channel when it selects the frequency range to run in. So in actual fact, over time, or a period of time, your machine is actually blanking out and storing all those channels that it's blanked out basically. And to do a factory preset restores all those channels and all those frequencies. And look, it will help improve your machine and the EMI, what have you, coming through. So just a bit of a trick that I've learned. And also, so once a month, as I said, I'll do a factory preset. So we've just turned the machine on. Now we're in auto 1 mode at the moment, and what I'm going to do is turn the light on there for you so you can see the screen better. And we are going to have to obviously repair the headphones because we've done the factory preset. So just holding down on the headphones there until the little blue and red light flashes. You hold him down for a short time and the blue light flashes. You hold him down a little bit longer and the blue and red light start flashes, and that allows the headphones to start pairing with the machine here. And once we hit the Bluetooth button, the machine will pick up the headphones and will be connected. In a second, takes a little bit. There it goes. So headphones are now connected. We've done our factory preset. We're going to turn the volume up, because after doing a factory preset, it does quieten the machine down. So we've done that now, and we're going to keep the headphones just running so it's not too noisy. Actually, no, we won't. We're going to disconnect them because we all need to hear what's going on. So we're going to stand up now, and what we're going to do is we're going to shoot a noise cancel. But what I like to do with this machine, oh, we might have another target. What I like to do with this machine, first off and foremost, is hold it 100 mil above the ground and shoot another noise cancel. It does an automatic noise cancel when you first start this machine up, but I like to just run a secondary noise cancel because I feel that it just runs a little bit hot, a little bit noisy on first startup. It's like it's got to warm up. So now we've done that, we're at max sensitivity. And we've got auto 1 mode and auto 2 mode there, which we'll speak about a little bit later. We won't go into it right now. We are just going to get started, just like a quick start guide. So what I've done is an EMI noise cancel, and you can hear the machine, it's still running a little bit noisy. You can hear there the noise coming through. So to quieten that down, we just bring our sensitivity down. And one big key that a lot of people mistake is bringing the sensitivity down on the 6000. Oh, I'm going to lose depth. Oh, I'm not going to find the deep nuggets. Well, not so. In actual fact, I'll just say my big 30 ounce nugget there last year was found at a sensitivity of 1. So look, don't think you're going to miss stuff at depth. Mind you, it was a big nugget, but don't think you're going to miss stuff at depth. You know, I didn't have my settings cranked right the way up to dig 3 foot down on a 30 ounce gold nugget. It wasn't so. As I said, I was running 1 bar of sensitivity. So to quieten the machine down, don't be afraid to knock it down. In actual fact, it's more target response sensitivity more than depth that you're looking at there with those plus and minus buttons. So don't think by winding it right up you're going to get the best depth. You're probably more just going to get a better target response on that target and a more quicker response, more better target response. So generally, as a rule of thumb, look, I'm going to zoom in there. It's a bit far away, sorry guys. Generally, as a rule of thumb though, what I like to do is turn the machine on, shoot a quick EMI noise cancel, which you've seen, and I drop my machine down to about halfway. Generally, all the hunting I do is about halfway or a little bit further above advanced. So probably 3 bars or 2 to 3 bars sensitivity, sort of in the midsection there. Anything higher than that, and I find it to be too noisy. And one of the biggest keys about detecting, and I can't stress this enough, a noisy machine does not find gold. Because if you're walking around out there in the gold fields and you're hearing all these false noises, EMI noises, ground noises, you're pulling yourself up and thinking, was that a target? Is that a target? And some of those you dig and, well, they end up being nothing, turn out to be nothing, and you're chasing false signals all day. And the gold that is actually under your feet, what you find is you're walking over it because you're just simply not hearing it. A quiet machine is a machine that will always find gold, being that you're in the right spot and being that you walk over it. But a loud machine, a noisy machine, running it too hot, it just simply won't find the gold. And it's going to be driving you crazy all day. So look, don't be afraid to drop it down on the 6000, even other machines. Drop your RX gain down a little bit. Maybe run a few different settings for the gold that's in your area and the ground that's in your area and what you're chasing. In this area, it's sandstone, it's quartz, it's shale. And that's most of the gold, as I showed you, is trapped in the sandstone. So here I am checking this target before I'm even getting on to the next bit of advice. But we've performed our EMI noise cancel. The machine is running rather quiet now. I'm going to turn that volume back up so you can hear it nice. It's nice and stable. There's not too much variation of threshold right there. And that's key. As I said, a noisy machine will not find the gold. So look, 3 bars sensitivity I've got. I'm running in difficult mode, as you can see, with the wavy lines. When you go into straight lines, that's normal mode. And if anything, that's how you're going to gain a little bit more depth, through normal mode. But normal mode will struggle in that highly mineralized ground. In my area here, I find that difficult mode runs best for me. And look, even at the depth that I'm finding the gold nuggets, with the settings that I'm running, I'm still very, very happy. So this machine, I will say though, you have to understand, it is one of the most super sensitive machines out there on the market presently to date. So look, as I said, don't run the settings too high, because you will either interfere with houses, power lines, or other detectorists in the area, or in actual fact, you'll just be having so much false signals all day, you'll literally drive home with a heap of hot rocks, or frustrated because you've dug nothing, because your signals you dig down to just disappear or dissipate as you go after them. So don't run the machine too hot. The next thing we're going to talk about after EMI there and starting the machine up is the ground balancing. Now you can hear the machine's running quite stable, quite nice, and that is the EMI taken care of, the electromagnetic interference. We've just sorted that out. Now we need to sort out the ground balance, ground noise, and that is through the mineralization in the ground. So you could have, where I'm standing right now, clay, and then you walk 1 meter, 2 meters forward, and it goes to a thick shale rock, and then you could walk 2 meters to the right and it could go to a real heavy black sandstone sort of type material, and then back to the quartz or clay again. So the ground is always changing. What I'm trying to explain, the ground is always changing underneath your feet. You don't see it, but it's always changing, and that's mineralization in the ground. And different ground is at different mineralization. You know, some ground contains higher mineralization than other ground, especially the red clay and some of those quartzy areas and ironstone areas, I should say. So what you need to do is ground balance that out, and you need to tell the machine basically what is in the ground and absorb that information through the coil into the unit. And how you do that is with a ground balance, an active track. So pushing that button or holding that button in, click it, and you can hear the button make a sound as we push it in, make that beep sound. Now what we do is we put the coil on the ground, and we don't put it over a target. Someone's dug up something there quite a while ago, it's got leaves in it, but we would never ground balance over the top of that, because what you're effectively telling the machine to do is ground balance out that target. So whatever that is, probably a big chunk of steel, you would effectively be ground balancing it out. Now you can't ground balance out gold, so don't be afraid to just pick a flat spot, pick a nice clean area. I mean, there's no targets here that we can hear of quite clearly, no targets, but there could be gold still under there, but that's okay to ground balance on top of that. And a good key too to remember, which we'll show throughout the day, is ground balancing on top of the material that you pull out, which we'll show, as I said, throughout the day. But to start off, we've turned the machine on, we've done our EMI noise cancel. Now we're just going to absorb some of that information in the ground. So to do that, as I said, pull the button in, and we want to do a couple of little pumps, not too high off the ground, and don't go crazy, don't go too fast up and down. And the key is also not to hit anything. Now what I also do, and they recommend to do this for about 10 seconds, what I also do is just do a few sweeps side to side, keeping your coil as low to the ground as you can, but as I said, don't hit stones or sticks or anything like that, because it will throw the machine off. So then after a sweep side by side, I'm still holding the button in, then we do a couple more pumps and we let go of the button. So it's as simple as that, and that's a pretty extensive ground balance what I just did there. Normally, if the machine was running a little bit noisy, I'd just do a quick simple pull the button in, few pumps of the coil, and away I'd go again. Or I might just do a quick few pumps of the coil, few sweeps of the coil back and forth, not too fast, that's a bit crazy, but just absorb that information into the machine and allow it to understand what the ground mineralization is. And that's key. You know, the biggest thing for detecting, for your detector to find the gold, I mean, you could be the best detectorist in the world, but if your machine is not running right, it's running too hot, as I showed before, too high sensitivity, or if there's too much ground noise coming through because you have not performed that ground track ground balance properly, well, guess what? You're not going to find the gold. So it's all about, basically, I thought so. Yeah, okay, we've got another target. It's all about knowing your machine and tuning your machine to the environment that you're in at the time. So let's just, look, let's give you one more listen to this, because it's very, very soft and dull. But you see there, we just kicked that top layer off of dirt. And you can see before we perform the ground balance, we had that big loud signal in there. It almost sounded sort of like that. But that was a hot rock, or that was the mineralization of the ground. Now we've performed that quick track, the ground balance. We're getting a proper reading of the ground. And I can confirm there's definitely a target there. We're going to go after him. And just a trick, you know, I've said this multiple times in my videos past before, but always recheck your holes. If you've got gold out of there before, don't go running off, because you could just get another bit. So we'll go after him a little bit more. He's sort of dissipated there now. So just another ground balance quickly. Just try and pick him up. Sometimes I find that doing a ground balance there on your tailing pile, as I spoke about a second ago, just sharpens that target response up a bit. Now he's disappeared. So he could have been a hot rock there, or just a very, very tiny bit of gold. Anyway, we'll go after him a little bit more, and the main thing is not to show the gold coming out today. We're just going to show settings, tips, tricks, signals, ground balancing along as we go, changing settings as we go. And I will say, the main thing with anything we're not actually done with this hole yet. The main thing with anything is make sure you fill in your holes. You're out prospecting with the miners, right, in the Victorian goldfields or anywhere, make sure you fill in your holes. It's just the right thing to do. Let's keep going. So here's another one of those great example of soft target, soft tones. Having your machine tuned right so you can actually hear them and pick them up. If the machine was noisy, you're going to be having targets and tones all over the place, and you're not going to be able to decipher what is what. So quiet machine, stable machine. You can hear it's got a little bit of threshold noise there. Nothing you can't work with though. But having that stable machine, you can hear we've just got ourselves another target, and you'll notice here the material's different than what we're just in with that mineralisation, that clay. We've actually got that nice pipe clay and slate and sandstone where all the gold's trapped in this area. So quick boot scrape on this one. We've heard him enough, and from here straight away this target's going to sharpen up if we don't kick him out of the hole. And remember, a lot of gold, someone said to me there years ago, does gold jump out of the ground and sit up on the leaf litter here? Well, no, it doesn't. Gold's not going to jump out of the dirt and sit up here. So if you got a target up in here and it was a screamer and you sort of went like this and did like a light boot scrape and it's gone, well, chances are it wasn't gold. And I'm not saying that all the time, but chances are it wasn't gold. Chances are it might have been lead. Now we can hear boot scrape has cleaned that target up beautifully. As I said, quiet machine is key. And I will show you a bit of a trick for EMI noise, you know, how to discern EMI noise over ground noise. There is a bit of a trick and a bit of a way. And it's recommended by Minelab, like it's a pretty easy trick. But I'm not sure all that many people do it or know about it. I don't know. But this bit of gold, and I'm certain it's going to be gold, we're going to get out first, and then I'll show you that bit of a trick. I'll just scrape back that material, and you can see, I changed my hand there, you can see we've got that nice pipey white clay, and not only that, the slate sandstone has said where all this gold comes out of in this area. And it's a complete different material than we just seen a second ago, with that high mineralisation, which end up giving us that false target. Look, there's a big chunk of quartz. So perfect. When you see you're in this stuff, almost guarantee it's gold. Let's have one more listen. We're going to get him out, and then I'm going to show you, as I said. Beautiful. We're going to show you that bit of a trick. Definitely gold, I said on that one, but you never can tell really. It's the nature of the beast of the gold hunting game. That's lead. So look, right material, wasn't a false signal like we seen on the last one. That's all right though. We've already got gold this morning, and well, that is our first piece of rubbish. So let's keep going, and we're going to provide that tip, as I said, on how to work out whether it's ground noise or EMI noise that you're having trouble with. Rightio, well, the trick to tell whether it's going to be a ground noise or EMI noise is pretty simple. And all you do is you simply tilt your coil. I don't know how tight the coil is, probably won't stay up like that. But you tilt your coil flat and you hold it up about waist height and you listen. You can hear a few little waves in the machine in the threshold. If I turn the sensitivity up, you can hear that they increase. Now that is EMI noise. So if you're in an area, and you can turn around, I know there's houses well over here. There we go, we picked up a lot more noise there. Think of your detector like an antenna, and the higher you have that sensitivity, the more the antenna wants to pick up the EMI noise. So what we're going to do, we'll leave him at that angle actually, and to basically discern that it's EMI noise, you'll hear all that wavy threshold going on. It's pretty simple stuff really, but hold it at your waist height so we can pick it up in the air, and then reduce it as needed. And listen to the difference. Huge difference. I can hear Andrew crashing over through the bush there too. And once again, we can run a noise cancel. And ideally they recommend to run a noise cancel with the coil held down below on the ground, or sort of 100 mil off the ground. But look, facing at the EMI source and noise cancelling, well, you're cancelling out the source of EMI, of noise, aren't you? So I generally hold it up waist height, tilt the coil a little bit, as I would do a coin relic machine, and perform a noise cancel that way. Now, that is noise, EMI noise, like we spoke about before and have spoken about quite a bit, and that's how to discern EMI noise over ground noise. Now, when your machine's sitting on the ground, you can hear it's perfectly stable. Not really too much for threshold variation there. But if I was wondering, was that EMI noise or ground noise? Well, ground noise sounds a lot different. EMI noise is wavy and rapid and erratic. A ground noise is a lot more longer and drawn out. So I can't really show you it at the moment because we've ground balanced the machine and it's behaving really well. But ground noise, if you were swinging back and forth over the ground, and you notice this a lot when you first start these machines up, I will say, it's like they've got to warm up a little bit for 5 minutes. And you've got to do quite a few ground balances to get them to behave properly, I find. But ground noise, when you first start up in the morning especially, you'll get these long, wavy, sort of drawn out signals. It's almost like there's a massive iron steel dropper under there, and it's not giving a sharp, real loud response signal. It's more giving a long, drawn out. It just sort of draws out over that long area. That's ground noise, and that's what you need to try and eliminate by doing that active track, ground track button on the back. So look, just a little tip and trick. Minelab do recommend that in the handbook settings and online even, to discern ground noise from EMI noise. A bit of a trick of holding up waist height, and as I said, the long extended drawn out signals on the ground indicating ground noise. Mineralization in the ground, this nasty stuff, the red clay. And the best way to combat that, if you needed to, and you find an area with a heap of, good gold and mixed with red clay sort of soil, well, you'd simply put a double D on. As they recommend, wherever you can't run a standard mono coil, you opt for a double D. Whether it's power lines or ground noise, you opt for that double D coil. So, but for me, look, the mono, 11-inch mono and the 9-inch Gold Hawk Elite Coil Tech coil, absolutely perfect coils. Love them. Let's keep going. All right, well, something else I've learned when you're really trying to sniff out that gold, especially the small gold, is, let's turn the Bluetooth off, is, excuse me, make sure you're pushing your coil right down into the ground. If you find a target, so we've just come across this one here. Can you hear him? It's quiet, I know. As I said, you've got to be better than everybody else that come here before you. But when you find a target like that, just before you do the boot scrape, just push your coil down a bit on it. You can hear him sharpen up a bit. So let's go after him, boot scrape time. And look, you could do boot scrapes all day. It is a bit hard on the knees after a while. But as I said, just push that coil down. Gives you that little bit more depth, and you're not going to hurt the coil skid pad underneath. There he is. Soft, I know. But as I said, you've got to be better than everybody else. If you can. Just try and use that few tricks up your sleeve. And look, at the end of the day, the coils can only punch so deep. There's only so much gold still left in these mullock heaps. As I said, 40 years of detecting. And a lot of the bigger stuff, grammars, multi-grammars, they would have been picked up. A lot of VLF machines back in the 70s, 80s, they really did good on the gold fields. Now we have amazing PI, pulse induction technology, and Z technology with the 7000, and it's allowing us to grab all these small ones. But as I said, you've got to be better than the last guy, and you've got to know your machine. You've got to have your machine running quiet and stable and know where to hunt the gold. And these stacks, these mullikeeps, as I said, this material, perfect material. And you see a lot of people say, I'm in the gold fields but haven't found any gold and I'm wondering whether I'm doing something wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. Don't think you're doing anything wrong. It's not an easy game. Where is he? He's ran off. All our targets are running off on film today. He is there. We buried him in a bit of tailings there, which you've got to be careful about too. You pull too much out on your hole and, well, they're faint and shallow signals to begin with for a reason, because they're deep. When you go burying them again deep, they're going to be hard for you to hear again. So it's another bit of gold, guaranteed, not lead or not false signal like last time. Let's two hands and grab them out. I just put the headphones back on to hear that one. I don't know whether you can hear. Hear that? Chainsaw? Wood chipper? Tractor? I don't really know. But look, we did get a bit of gold out of that one. Nice little tiny speckler. And I just had the headphones on just to be able to hear him properly. As I said, a bit of background noise. And not only that, when you're walking around the bush, you've got the coil scraping on the leaves and on the rocks and maybe hitting up against the sticks and maybe a tree or what have you. Try not to hit it too hard against trees and watch out for that coil cable. But you've got all that noise, and it's really bad during summer because all the leaves and what have you are dry and crunchy. But point being, headphones are such a big key. Like, I can't stress enough, if you want to pick up on the tiny signals and the real faint signals, that being a lot of the time the tiny gold, but it adds up. Look, get the headphones and make sure you wear them. Or I've just recently picked up this. It's just a horn. It redirects the sound. Instead of it coming out the back, it redirects it up the front to me, so I can hear it a little bit better. Because during summertime, the headphones do get hard and annoying and sweaty and hot to wear. But I tell you what, you find more gold wearing headphones than what you do without. That's a guaranteed for me. So let's keep going. Another nice little nuggie. What are we up to? 3, 4? I'll see if we can grab some more and keep on with tips and tricks. Things I can think of that I've learned over the last 12 months as I go. Right, great lesson here. Another one. We've got a target right beside this tree here, in between two big trees actually. And the first thing I thought of was tree root, moisture in the tree root. And it can send off the detector and really make you sound like you've got a good deep signal, a good deep big signal. Give you a listen. Just get that other bit of grass out of there. Making it hard with the coil. And you can see the tree root exposed right there. We just dug down, and as soon as I seen him I thought, got me again. We all do it. And to be honest, some of the biggest gold that I've found, 10, the 5 grammer, look, a couple of multi-grammers there, and even the big 30 ounce nugget there last year, that's what they sound like. From the top, real dipping down, inverted signal. And I'm not saying there's not gold underneath that right there, that tree root. And to prove that, you just dig down a little bit further, and if the target sharpened up, you continue on. You continue on digging until you got your gold out. But in that case right there, it's definitely moisture in the tree root sending off the detector. And well, I'm not happy chasing it. I'm not going to waste my time chasing it. And it's nearly lunchtime too, 11:20. So we want to try and get a little bit more gold in that bottle before we get back to the car and see what Andrew's done. Well, let's have a look at this one. The 6000, as I said before, it is such a sensitive machine. And being so sensitive, it wants to pick up on, well, everything it can pick up on, obviously. And that's a good thing, but with the mineralization in the ground, the hot rocks, it can also be a bad thing. So we just got this target here. We scraped and dug and pulled him all out. And what I'm seeing straight away is what I commonly recognise is a lot of this basalt material mixed in the same hole, and that is what we're getting our signal off. And I knew that, just like what we've seen before. The signal was in one area, we scraped back, and then it broke up, and it was in multiple areas, and it was here and there and every bloody where. So that is just your basalt. It's your basalt and your lava flows, and I know there's a lot of lava flowing from north of here. I mean, that's quartz right there mixed in, but a lot of predominantly what we're seeing coming out of this hole is that basalt material. And as I said, the lava flows north of here. It brought it all down. It covered a lot of the gold area here in the lava. And sometimes, I will say, sometimes, very rarely, you will get gold in this material. I've actually proven that. I'll throw a picture up top left corner, and you can see a tiny little speck of gold stuck in this basalt type material. And as I said, it can happen sometimes, not very bloody often. Everything else is stuck in this type of material here, or the slate. So look, we're going to crack one of these up just to show the type material. Oh geez, I broke the stone. Just to show the type material they are, and they're real heavy ironstony basalt. This one, so I thought he had quartz mixed in with him. He doesn't, but it can have quartz mixed in it at times too. So that right there, that is what's playing havoc with such a super sensitive machine, the GPX-6000. As I said, very, very sensitive, and they like to pick up on everything, the ironstone and the basalt included. It sometimes can have gold, but on a very, very rare occasion. So all these stones, look, they'll all be the same. We can crack another one here and just show you. If we're not going to lose our rock. There goes our rock again. But it's all that, yeah, look, basalty type material. Let's just grab the other hand. And very, very interesting. I'll zoom in there. And as I said, once or twice in this area, we've got gold out of it. But it's very highly unlikely that you normally get gold. So this sort of stuff, it sings off on the coil detector, and generally the best way to ID hot rocks, ground mineralization, and the hot rocks sounding off the machine is break them up, just like what we've done there. Break them up, and if you're getting a signal, you know, if this was a big stone and we broke it up into 10 pieces, we waved all 10 pieces over the coil, and every one sounded off, well, you know it is all hot rock, ironstony, basalt material, or maybe just ironstone, depends on what's in your area. But in this area, as I said, volcanoes north of here, a couple of k's north, they flowed all down and have buried a lot of the ancient riverbeds and encased that gold in a lot of the other sediments, but sometimes in the basalt. Very interesting. All right, let's keep going. Surely it's going to be lunch soon, and we've got another little area down there too I can show you where it is just ironstone and that sort of basalt everywhere, and we might make a trip down there later and just show you how crazy it sends the detector. And as I said before, those are the areas you'd really want to return to with a double D coil. Let's keep going. Right, well, last example before we head for lunch, because I am starving. And this is an example of lead, or, well, just a rubbish target, really. And you've got to dig them all, so don't, look, don't think I avoid these signals. I certainly dig them. Because those screamers can often sometimes be gold as well. Just gold, you know, either big gold or gold that's not sitting very deep. And it's sitting up on the surface and the coil's hitting on it and hitting on it hard. But if you hear this one, hear how he's a real direct, screaming, sharp signal. And a lot of people probably don't take too much notice of the tones. They probably just, well, dig away, you know. It beeps, it makes a tone, let's dig it. And on the coin relic machines, I often do that. Just if it makes a noise, I'm just going to dig it. Don't even look at the numbers. But you should really take you know, consideration of what sounds like what. You know, is it deep? Is it gold? Is it lead? Is it steel? Was it a bit of rust? You know, I find that rust sometimes gives off a signal like a false zone, or a bit of ironstone or what have you. It can sort of be here and then there and then there, and the coil sort of just can't pick it up because of the rust content. There's just so much rust with a little bit of steel embedded on the middle, but it's worn so far, you know, it's corroded so far away, I should say, that a rusty nail, I don't actually know if I've got one in the pouch, but a rusty nail sometimes just doesn't, just doesn't sound off properly. You sort of get a signal and then you don't. There's a bit of rust there. Oh, well, that's not a great example. It's a bit of a funny sound though. So yeah, look, just things that you take note of, I suppose. And this to me is screaming lead. Big lead, not small lead. It's screaming lead, unless it's steel shot. If it's steel shot lead, remember steel sounds louder. If it's steel shot lead, then yeah, it will be steel shot lead, and a small bit at that. But as I said, that's lead. Listen to the scream. And when you hold it up a bit, like if that was in the ground, sounds just like a nice gold target would. But as soon as you get close enough to him, you've scraped down, taken the dirt off, bang, he's screaming. So we're just going to listen to the gold too, and I'll show the difference. Remember, there's quite a bit of gold in there already. But you've got that longer, drawn out sound. Lead. He keeps rolling around the scoop. Very similar, but slightly different. And it's hard too, because the lead size and the lead variety makes them all sound different. As I said, the small steel shot sounds loud, screaming loud, and so does the big lead. And then the small little tiny lead, and all's got to do with depth too. You know, it can all sound different at depth, but the small tiny lead often sound like the gold, so you can't walk past them. And good indication, as I said, a good rule to live by. Just dig it all. Unless you see a big tie sitting on the surface or a big sheet of tin, well, just dig it all. Well, I was just about to shoot a clip before we went for lunch, explaining swing speed and swing control, you know, coil control, how that all plays a part, and just about to shoot that clip and I got a signal, didn't I? I love these signals. Just gonna, I better check that just to make sure. Nothing. Have a look at this. Quartz stone, sort of conglomerate mix. We've got a bit of sort of pipey clay sandstone there, mixed in with the quartz. Oh, it's a lovely material. And I'm not really seeing much else. So a bit of dark quartz in there, showing the mineralization process. But I'm not seeing too much sandstone or slate. Once we clean it, we might see a bit more. Have a listen to this stonker though. Oh, it doesn't sound that loud on that side. There he is. Now, these stones here, they can have multiple bits of gold. I'm actually just going to show up I'll throw up a picture in a second, and I'll show you that as a good example. Last week we were in here, we found a stone, no joke, yeah, probably smaller than that, no joke, smaller than that. It had 3.66 grams of gold in it, and I could see the gold hanging out the side, and I could hear it over the detector, sounding like a crazy donkey, crazy cat it was. And I took it home. Well, that looked like gold then, it's not. And I took it home, and I didn't crush it out in the gold fields, because that's too risky, you lose gold. Because as you're seeing, you get a lot of small fine particles of gold. And what I did is I took it home and I crushed it, and I got a bit over 2 grams of gold that I could get out, and then I crushed up the rest to a dust. Out of one stone like this, crushed up the rest out of into a dust, and I got another 1.5 grams, 1.66. So as I said, I'll throw those pictures up right now. You'll be able to see what I did, the crushing and the panning, what have you. I did not film on that day. God, I wish I had of. But in the gold that I found and crushed out and panned off, as you'll see, I actually detected as well some gold. And in total that day, I walked out of here with 4.66 grams, 4.5 grams, I think it was, 4.5 on the dot. So over $700 worth of gold from you know, one little stone like this, plus some more detected bits of gold, bits of loose gold, which would have originally come from a conglomerate stone like this and liberated themselves free and broke free. So any wonder how much gold is under our feet, you know, tiny specks of gold that we can't get, can't see, can't find with the detector. But if you processed all this material or took home some of this material and panned it, I'm certain you get flour gold out of nearly every pan. So these stones here, they really interest me though. And just to add to that 4.5 gram day, I come back here the following day. I picked up on where I finished off the day before, because the day before, I will say, the 3.5 gram stone that I picked up, it was my last target I dug. Phenomenal. So the next day I come back and picked up right where I left off, and the very next day I went home with 2.5 grams. So in 2 days I don't even have enough fingers. In 2 days I did 7 grams of gold. What's that? Over $1,000 worth of gold. 2 days. Really impressive. It's small, it adds up. And as I said, you've just got to know your machine, run your machine nice and quiet, and find those signals. I can't wait to get home and crush this guy. But first, let's go have some lunch. Here he is, the man, the myth, the legend.
Oh, I doubt that. No bloody legend here, mate.
No legend here?
No.
Gold?
No.
No.
Oh, well, I got a rock, but I'm not quite sure.
Rock on.
Yeah, I got 2, but I think one's a hot rock.
Just explaining hot rocks there before. I got this one, which I think's a hot rock.
There's gold hanging out of that, mate. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, that's not a hot rock, that one.
No, I don't think so.
No, not the material it's in.
No.
So, but I was explaining hot rocks there before. It's a real battle in this area. You got all the basalt and the ironstone. A lot of areas, not just this area. But yeah, definitely gold in that one. You see a rounded quartz stone hanging out.
Yeah.
So he'll be embedded with gold. Mixed up with gold he is. Mixing with the wrong people. Well, mixing with the right people. Oh yeah, we've got donuts. Awesome. And coffee. So break time, and we're going to get back into it. And after lunch, more tips and tricks to come. And we're going to get down into that ironstony area, and I'm going to show swing speed, swing control, all those sorts of things as we continue on for the afternoon. All right, well, we are back from lunch. I'm going to take off Bluetooth there. We have been hunting for about 10 minutes and just digging a bit of rubbish. That's okay. Just warming the machine back up. And I'm just going to talk about swing speed and control right now. How it's important, super important. I mean, we all hear it when you buy a gold detector or you ask someone for advice. What's the first thing they say? Go low, go slow. It's such common advice, but it rings so true too. And if you don't really heed that advice, you know, go low, go slow, you are going to miss the gold. Simple as that. What I also like to tell people too, and what I also like to keep in mind for myself, and I was told this by a prospector when I first started detecting, your coil is a paintbrush. The end of your coil is a paintbrush, and well, I used to be a painter, so it probably helps me a bit more too. But if you're not painting the ground with the coil, you're not painting the ground properly, and you're missing spots. So imagine you're painting a wall, and you run the paintbrush like this crazily over the wall. Well, you've just missed spots altogether. So that's pretty obvious stuff. Go low, go slow. Really go low too. But with that, make sure you're not hitting up against sticks and rocks and trees. There's a good example here. Get the tree here, and you can hear it throws that bit of threshold tone off. And on angles, so dipping down on angles will throw the coil off a little bit. So when you go from a flat surface and you go over a bit of a hole, or the coil's got to dip down, you can sometimes get that bit of a throw off of signal, of sound. And also the coil lead. Now, in a lot of my videos, you'll notice that I always have the coil wrapped quite nice and firm. And in actual fact, lately I've been using a bit of electrical tape on there because it's quick and it's easy. And it also holds the coil in place and stops it from rotating around the shaft. But what you'll notice here, and on the Gold Hawk and on all my other coils, is you always leave that little bit of a tail So the worst thing you can do is have that too taut, and if you have that too taut around the shaft, first off, it's bending all the wires coming out from the housing of the coil there, but secondly, what it can do is can cause you a lot of false signals, to the point where all day long you will be frustrated, wondering what's going on with this machine, why isn't it working, why do I see other people's run quiet and mine doesn't? Well, that can be the reason why, the coil lead. And you can see right there, it actually interferes with the coil. So you've got to have enough of a tail where your coil can dip up and around. And look, this is very straightforward stuff, but I'm going to show it because a lot of people can have issues and they don't even know that it can be the coil lead doing it. So with the 6000 or any gold machine, make sure you leave that tail, and as you see, as the coil rotates and moves around, you can see that lead has plenty of clearance to move around with it. And what's most important is it stops it from bending over and trying to rip it out of the coil housing. So enough of that. Go low, go slow, make sure your coil's adjusted right, and make sure it's nice and firmly wrapped around your shaft. Make sure you're ground balancing anytime you get a bit of ground noise. Make sure you're noise cancelling anytime you get a bit of EMI. And going low, going slow, you can hear those slight variations of threshold. Ready? Now that is a definite target. That's fish on right there. So we're going to scrape them back, give you a bit of a listen. All those things though, if I had not had correct the coil cable, the lead coming out, the ground balancing, the EMI, noise cancelling done, if I had not had those things correct and going low, going slow, and really listening, you know, the machine's running quiet, really listening for those faint variations in tone, well, I would never have heard this. And we wouldn't have found that bit of gold. So let's continue going down to him. Let's get him out and let's show you a look. All right, well, we chased that one and we chased it and we chased it. And it's not gold. It's a faint tone, faint sound, and it was a definite target. But what popped out a second ago when I took a scratching off top was the old bottleneck from the miners. And then I thought, oh, maybe it's not gold. And we whittled our way down, and like I said before there this morning, some targets, like rusty targets, they can sort of be there sounding off and sound really prominent, and then other times, well, they just don't. And that's this one right here. I don't know how well you can hear that. The wind's just picking up a bit. But he's sort of there, but then he sort of dissipates. Funny signal, those little tiny bits of rust. So not gold on that one. That's okay. And as I said before, it's the nature of the beast. You come out here some days and get a lot, and then other days you don't get much at all. But it's still cool, and what a great place to spend the day. Let's keep going and let's try and snag a bit more gold. We've got a couple of hours before we've got to get out of here, and I'll try and provide a few more tips and tricks on the 6000, gold hunting in general, as I go. Right, well, another really great tip to give, and look, this is such a simple one, such an obvious one. Move the sticks and branches. You know, all these areas that we hunt, I mean, this area is a little bit clearer, but all these areas, bushland areas we hunt, they are absolutely thick. They're flat out, and if you just sit the detector down, you know, God knows what could be hiding under this pile of sticks. Sit the detector down for 5 minutes and, well, you might find out. And if you don't, you're literally just walking and detecting all the clear areas that everybody else can detect. So it's often a good thing to keep in mind. Put the detector down and spend 5 minutes, because you could either walk all day looking for signals, or you could clear a little area up where you know the miner has found gold. You know, he didn't dig the hole for nothing. Not all miners bottomed on gold, but a lot did. And in an area like this, where you can quite clearly see there's diggings on top of diggings, was a rich little area. So clear the sticks away, and no doubt you're going to find a target in amongst them. And that's exactly what we've done here. So we moved this branch here in front of us, pushed a bit of the leaf litter and sticks away, and look, I don't know, it's lead, could be, But it's a signal. That's what we're looking for. And you dig enough of them, they turn out to be gold. Let's have another listen. He's still not that screaming sound. So in my mind, I'm still thinking gold on this one. Let's find out. Oh, that really had me convinced it was gold. He really did. A little bit of copper. Let's get in the light there. Where's some light? There. A little bit of copper type material. Honestly thought that was a speck of gold. But look, once again, you open that bush up and you open up more signals. And this signal here, a bit of mining rubbish, has been here for 150 years. The area's been detected for 40. Now how has that not been picked up? And where there's that bit of rubbish that's been missed in 40 years, there's plenty of gold that has also been missed. So as I said, clear the bush, open up the signals, just make sure to put it back before you walk on. Perfect. Right, well, next signal there, guys, and for a bit of an experiment, bit of fun, let's try something different. As I said, I don't normally run normal mode, always in the zigzaggy line, which is difficult mode, which helps combat the high mineralization in the ground, the changing mineralization in the ground. And to be honest, I do know some people around my area here that hunt in normal mode and find it quite good, but just personal preference for me. Maybe one day I'll opt for it and try it out. I'll try it out more. I have tried it out, but just for now, we've got a signal. And as an experiment, you can hear we've nearly got him out. As an experiment, let's wind the sensitivity right up and let's show you Auto 1 and Auto 2 mode, because I haven't touched on that just yet. And let's just give you a listen at this signal. So he's pretty much, yeah, look, right about there where my boot impression is. So we're in 2 bars, manual mode and in difficult. So let's opt to change that. Let's go max sensitivity. You can hear it starts getting a bit unstable straight away. Andrew's not far away. And let's go into normal mode. Now, every time you change a mode or settings, it's a good practice to get into, to shoot a noise cancel and then a quick ground balance. But look, we're not even going to do that. We know we've got a target in front of us. I'm just hovering off that target a bit. I'm not actually touching it. Now that's right on the ground. Really, it doesn't sound much difference than where we were before. So let's take that back. 2 bars, go back into difficult, give a listen again. Now we'll hover over the target. Same test. Now we'll put the coil right on the ground, on the target. Now to me, I can't hear any better signal response or audio response, and I know the target's sitting on the surface basically. Like I'm pretty sure we've nearly got him out because it's so responsive and loud. But to me, I can't hear much of a difference. Now I'm just going to show Auto 1, Auto 2 mode what they do. So we're at max sensitivity right now, still in difficult mode with the wavy lines, but Auto 1, Auto 2 mode. And just something before we explain about these modes is Auto 1 and Auto 2 mode, they don't, by factory preset, default, they don't have a threshold tone. So you can hear the threshold sort of cutting in and out there. And if we run over a target, so the machine's effectively quiet, which is quite nice. And if we run over a target, you can see it gives us that signal, which is, as I said, quite nice. Hum around all day, no tone, no threshold, nothing to, you know, you go home some nights and you're laying in bed and all you can hear is while you're trying to sleep. And I mean that, it's like going to a rock concert and going home and trying to sleep, all you can hear is the rock concert. Well, that basically is a good idea to not have a threshold tone, and some people like it, a lot of people hunt like it. but I don't. If I'm running auto 1, auto 2 mode, and there's only a couple of sites that I can actually effectively run those modes in. If I am running auto 1, auto 2 mode, and effectively auto 1 and auto 2 mode is just preset factory default settings, modes that that Minelab have set up into the machine here. Auto 1 mode is for slightly less EMI high frequency areas, and auto 2 is probably the most sensitive mode, but it can well, it can struggle in those high built up EMI areas, or with a bit of ground noise. I've found there's really only 1 or 2 sites I can run the auto 1 and auto 2 at. So auto 1, auto 2, we're on auto 2 at the moment. Here's a nice signal response. We'll go back to auto 1. Remember, this is with threshold tone on. Very similar, if not the same. And to turn the threshold on and off, I don't know if I showed you, it's this button here. So the mode button, we just hold him down and threshold's off. Hold him down once again, threshold returns. So for me though, I always like to run with threshold on, because threshold on means that you are hearing everything. You're listening to it all. There's nothing that's going to slip by. And what happens if you've got auto 1 or auto 2 mode running in that mode, and you're getting a lot of EMI noise, what have you, and it's sounding off, you know, you're not getting a threshold tone, and you're running auto 1, auto 2, no threshold, and all of a sudden you walk over a bit of a mineralized hot rock or something, you've got that, you know, that sound coming through, and you're chasing that hot rock. And with threshold on, quite obviously you hear it as well, but you can sort of differentiate the difference. So there we go, we didn't actually have that target out. And we're still in auto 2 mode, I think. Oh, there's a big rock there. Still in auto 2 mode. Auto 1, sorry. He's still deeper down. Could be. No, he's not. I was going to say, could be in that rock there. So, look, just, we're going to get that target out in a minute and show you. It's going to be gold. But just a bit of a difference there between modes. So as I said, normal, difficult, and auto 1, auto 2. But what you've seen me hunting in today is generally around the halfway mark. 2 or 3 bars or notches of sensitivity. That does it for me, and does it well. Remember, a noisy machine won't find gold. It'll just give you a headache. Let's get this target out. Oh, we're getting the tips and tricks out today as much as we can. But every time I say it's going to be gold, like it's the right material, we're in a mullock heap. Every time I say it's going to be gold, it turns out to be lead. That's all right. As I said, it's the nature of the beast. And if you don't love thy beast, you would not be out here. And I certainly love thy beast. The beast being the detector. So let's go after a little bit more. We're really lacking because we've been filming so much today, and that's okay. But we are really lacking in the gold compared to other days here. Coming out with 4.5 grams and 2.5 grams and 3 grams. Oh, we've been doing good. But today it was just all about the providing the tips and tricks. And if I can help at least someone, anyone out there, well, that is reward enough for me. Let's keep going. More rubbish signals, and this one here is a little percussion cap. And I'm going to show this because little copper pieces often sound like big gold. We've seen big gold come out on the channel before, and the 10 grammer, the 5 grammer, even anything up to about a 0.5 gram or onwards. They sort of give this real warbly sound. Chicken warble, I call it. He's not really doing it at the moment. But they give this really strange sort of, look, crazy warble sound. And you can see why we're getting so much trash out of this area. We've got the hole there, we just got the percussion cap out of, the little cap that goes on the end of the gun for the gun to fire. But you can see why we're getting so much rubbish. Look, the miners have had a party in here, drinking all their beer bottles and gibber, right boys, let's just throw them over in a pile on the surface. And no one will know any different, neither here nor there. Back then, unreal. And that's where a lot of the these bottles, they'll contain the old copper wire around the top, and it helps keep the cork in. Well, just like this one. That's actually really cool. The cork is still in there, 150 years on. So very cool, and that wire rings up just like those percussion caps. Sounds tantalizingly good, like a big gold nugget would. And these areas, yes, they're trashy, yes, they're hard, but if you do spend time and clean them all up, well, you could just be cleaning up a lot of rubbish sitting on quite a bit of gold. You just never know. Let's keep going and try and get down to that ironstone area, but I'm not sure if we're going to have time now. We'll just see how we go. Alright guys, well, we've made a special trip down here just to show you what the ironstone does in this area to the detector. Remember we spoke about how sensitive these machines are and just how they like to pick up everything in the ground, including some of the minerals. And gold is a mineral at that, but the ironstone, well, it's a mineral as well, and it really plays havoc with the detectors. So all that is basalt and ironstone mixed in with a bit of, oh, it's got a bit of sandstone mixed in as well. But let's just give you a listen. This area is so challenging. Double D coil for sure for me. Otherwise I just wouldn't bother with the mono. Now, is that 1,000,000 targets? You see someone else has had a bit of a scratch around and probably tried to find a target, but it would have just been all the ironstone and all those heavy minerals going off and sending that detector crazy. And I'll just show you a bit of what ground balancing there does. So you can hear we've got that long drawn out tone like we spoke of this morning. That's how we can tell that's ground noise. So long drawn out tone, and what we can do with that active track ground balance is we can try and ground balance a bit of that out. Problem is, we'll ground balance out what's underneath the coil, but there will be different amounts of mineralized stone in this pile that won't exactly ground balance out. So you can see there, we've just ground balanced that out in front of us, what we were just swinging over. There's another bit over here so we'll ground balance that one out. Let the coil absorb that information. There you go, there might even be a target there. Or it's just not allowing us to ground balance that out. So in that scenario, we just take off the top a little bit, as I said before, dig down. If the target increased, yeah, that's not what we're showing. So we are showing the mineralization though, and as you hear, it is very, very, very challenging ground. Almost ground that is unworkable, but it's not. You can work it, but you'll need, as I said, that double D coil, not a mono loop. A mono loop will really struggle to get through all that heavy mineralization. Just like that. So anyway, we're going to confirm if this is a signal or not, and we're going to move on to the next. Alright guys, well that wraps it up for us today for now. And I really hope you enjoyed all the tips and tricks that we've shared. Look, I hope you've had a bit of fun and learned something along the way. All the videos that we've shot today providing those tips and tricks, we've tried to line up signals that resemble or sound like gold. And well, most of everything we've found has been lead and rust. And as I said, that's just the nature of it. That's going to be what it's going to be. But there it is, the last target that we did not even film, of course, turns out to be our most cracking bit of gold today. So little bit of a flat bit there, but he's got some good length about him. That's what she said. And look, we're going to put him on the scales when we get home, weigh him all up. And remember, we've got all that other stone, the big conglomerate quartz stone to crush up. And Andrew's even got one to crush up too. So I really hope you enjoyed today's video on the 6000, settings, tips, tricks, everything I've learnt in the last 12 months running this machine. And I hope that some of that, you can take away and it helps you in future. If there's anything I didn't touch on or didn't cover, and you'd like to hear me talk about or even research and learn about myself and then relay on video, be sure to drop your comment below. And I'd love to read it and take it on board and take it in future and try and resolve it for you. If you're having an issue or a question that you can't work out, let me know, and I'd love to try and work it out for you or help you with it. That's what it's all about, helping each other. So really hope you enjoyed, and as I said, we still need to get home. We'll hear that ka-toink. Sounds so good when they hit the bottle. We still need to get home and crush up, weigh up, and check out everything that I've got and Andrew's has also. So as I said, I really hope you enjoyed. I look forward to seeing you at home. If you follow us home, that is, and we'll do the weigh up. So we'll see you there. Rightio guys, well, we are at home. Don't mind the messy shed. We've got a bit of a processing line going on here. We've got material. Look, it all needs still crushing and panning and trying to get all the rest of the gold out of it. Just going to show you though what we were talking about in the bush there before. This is the month of May. Now it's the 22nd of May today, so we're not actually through the month of May just yet. But you can see there all the gold that we've done for the month of May, and that is touching over 14.5 grams, nearly 15 grams of gold right there. And yes, a lot of the pieces are small, however they all add up quite quick. So let's do the weigh up. Andrew's back now, and he's going to crush his stone as well that he's got, because we've got this one over here to crush sitting on dolly, and Andrew's got that little one to crush as well. So let's set up, let's do it, and let's do the weigh up. Alright, let's have a look at the first stone we've got, and that was the quartz, a conglomerate sort of mix. Got a bit of sandstone, slate, what have you in there. So we'll have a look at that one first and foremost, and we're going to put him in the bucket dolly, because he is actually too big to fit in the actual other dolly pot, and this is just a bit of an easier method. So we'll crush him up and we'll have a look what we get. Right, I'm going to pan all that off. Whoops, there goes the phone nearly. Back to there. Right, we're going to scrape this up, pan it off. Nearly lost the phone. Because it's going to have multiple bits of gold in this. Straight into the pan with that one. We'll get to him in a second. First, let's just have a look what else we got in the container.
More smash.
More to break up. Right, so that's what we had there in the container. We're going to pluck out our little bits of gold that we found. So we'll put them in the container first and foremost. Another nice piece there. He is a nice piece. Get him in the camera. He's broken out of the stone. And we've got the last bit there that we found, and the little ball of gold. Andrew? It's a ball of gold, Andrew. And we've got a little tiny piece off the side there, if I can pick him up. Lick me finger. There he goes. Right, so what we've essentially got to crush up is this one here. We can see quite a big, I'll actually get the camera in focus there. We can see quite a nice size nugget on that one. So we'll give him a bit of a tap, just very quickly. Where's the taparoonie? And bingo, straight out of the stone it comes. Nice coarse bit of gold. Probably maybe 007 that one. 007 in the container. So that's about 4 or 5 pieces in there now. And we'll just, don't think there's any more I can see. But that's the rest of that one. So we'll just crush up these last few stones, because they should all have bits of gold in them, as so. There's some right there. We'll just crush them right up though, and that last stone, yeah, another piece there. Well spotted, Andrew. There's 3 pieces, 4, 5, 6 pieces there. You see quite a few. So one off to there. We've got another one off to the side. We've got another one. Yeah, look, tiny, tiny, tiny pieces. We'll pick them up in a second. This stone here, he really interests me. The camera's doing a shocking job at picking it up, sorry. But he interests me. This one we can't see any visible gold. We'll just try with this one first. You just never know. You crack them open, and then all of a sudden this gold pops out. It's quite incredible. Like the other day, as I said, we popped open a stone and it had 3.5 grams contained inside. That's just Look, it's crazy. I said to Andrew, I've never seen that happen like that. 2 bits in that one, 2 nice bits. We'll just pick them up before we flatten them even more. We'll get them out of the mix for a second. And we'll keep crushing that material up. And remember, we've got to pan off everything in the pan there in front of us. And Andrew has still got a stone to crush up himself. So there is the final result. We've got a nice nugget there. We had the Andrew pull one off to the side there a second ago. So another one. We've got those 3 or 4 little there. And look, probably, yeah, maybe a little one there too. And yes, they're small. There's another one there. Yes, they're small.
Another one there.
There is another one there. Yes, they're small, but they certainly all add up. As I said, 3.5 grams one day, just in one stone. So we'll clean this up quickly. We're going to come back. We're going to pan off all that material and crush up Andrew's stone. Have a look at that as well. Thanks, Andrew. Rightio, well, we've just done the clean up, swept up what's on the floor there, picked out last bits of gold, we've thrown the material in the pan, and we're going to yet to pan all that off. What we got out in gold wise for that one little stone, or those few little stones, as you see, there's a bit of other material in there, there's a bit of quartz on the side there, but that's all the gold we got out. So not too bad at all really. And remember, we've still got these stones to crush up for Andrew. Now this one here, I said to Andrew in the bush, and he said the same. Yeah. We're both not confident. If I crack that in half right now, it's, yeah, well, look, we're going to see what we've seen out in the bush today. We're going to see that ironstone basalt type content. So I will actually get Andrew to do that. Just crack him straight in half there, Andrew. But what we've got in this stone, and I'm a little bit more quietly confident about this one. I just think it's like an ironstony and dark quartzy layer. I don't think it's actual hot rock and basalt material. And even Andrew said that it sounded off on the detector a lot differently.
Yeah, it's a lot different to this.
Different, yeah. So look, that one there, I do believe it's going to have some gold in it. Whereas, as you see, we've got that, once again, ironstony hot rock material, like what we explained out in the bush. And you sort of can't tell from the outside. You can a little bit. It's got that real, yeah, it's got that real fine grained porous material. Yeah. As soon as you crack it open, you know straight away, and it's all the same, as you see. It's all the same. Whereas that material there in my thumb and forefinger, well, I don't think we're going to see that inside. No. So we'll let you go, Andrew, and we'll come back and give you a look. All right, Andrew's crushed his material. Let's have a look. What do you got? What do you got? Not the same sort of stuff, is it? Oh, look, it is, but it's slightly different. And
nothing. Bugger.
Nah. I was going to say, you can find gold in this material though. I've found it myself, as I said there the other week. And I'll put the picture back up top left corner. We had a basalt stone, a little hot rock stone like this, and very similar material, just as like what Andrew's got on the concrete there, and it had a bit of gold in it.
I was hoping.
I was hoping too, mate. So the only thing left to do now, as said, is pan off that quartz stone that we broke up, and no doubt, it's got to have more gold in it, because we heard a sound. So more gold to add in the little pan there, and then we'll do the way up. All right, let's try one-handed panning. Andrew's got full hands. Trick to panning obviously is bottom of the pan, lowest point, gold's heavy, falls down to the lowest point. So let's do a one-hand pan, see how well I can do this. I'm an old panner from way back, Andrew.
Yeah, right.
I've done quite a bit of panning actually over the years. Sluicing, high banking.
Nothing, mate.
Where's the gold?
One little speck.
No, there's another speck in the middle there.
Oh yeah.
But that's not what was sounding. We've missed it. We've panned that too rough, or we haven't crushed the material up enough.
Yeah, maybe haven't crushed it enough.
Yeah, righto. Well, let's just try that one more time. I'm going to do actually two hands on this, and I'm going to, you've seen that I didn't really pan it out properly. So shake, 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 and we probably did need to crush that material up a little bit more. And Andrew's actually got a spare hand. Let's go one more. He hit stop.
Did I?
Yeah. I heard it go dunk. It's recording again now. I think we've missed it because we haven't crushed the material up enough. like there's definitely gold in here. Like there's that other bit right there again.
Yeah.
But there's got to be bigger bits in here.
You would think so.
I mean, there's no way these 6000 pinged on that.
No, I know it's a good machine, but yeah, hang on.
It's good, but it's not that good.
I don't think it's that good.
Nah, so look, we've got, the tiniest specks of gold up there. I'll just wash them a little bit more so you can see them a bit better.
Yeah.
You can see the 2 tiny specks of gold up there, but there's got to be something else hiding in the rest of this material. But we really need to crush it up more further. We're going to have a nice quartz specie in there. We need to crush it up further so we can actually find out and see. So we'll do that, and we'll come back and give you a look. All right, well, what's happened all day is, well, what I feel anyway, is I've tried to set up a few clips and provide tips and tricks and say to you guys, you know, we're digging down to gold, this is definitely gold. And some of those clips, well, they've jinxed me and they've turned out to be lead. We just panned off that material and I was expecting to see a nice chunk of gold at the bottom of the pan. Instead, we only got the tiny specks, and we've just thrown them in with the rest of the material. And then we actually come back into the shed here, re-tipped out that wet material after taking out the tiny specks of gold, only tiny too. As I said, the 6000's good, but it's not that good. We come back and crush the material a bit more, and bingo, that is what we were hearing. The bigger guy right there, not the smaller one. There's no way the 6000 would pick up on that, but we were hearing that bigger nugget there, which is probably about a 0.03. He's tiny, 0.02. He's tiny, but enough for the metal detector to hear. So let's add all those together, and now let's put them on the scales and do the final weigh-in. And this material here, I will say, there is some big stones still left in there, so we will dry that out and crush it up further. It's just hard to crush when it's wet, because as you can imagine, crushing it, everything flicks back up in your face. So I should have probably crushed it more to begin with at the start, but I just didn't. So as I said, let's do the weigh up. This is the most exciting bit, always the fun bit. And we'll put them on the scales, and we're going to weigh up and see what we've got. What do you reckon, Andrew? Half a gram?
Yeah. 6.6.
0.6, he reckons.
I'll go over.
Over 0.53. So there we go.
0.3.
Not a bad run. And as I said, with everything coming out for the month of May so far, 0.53, well, that nearly takes us to 15 grams. As I said, it's all small gold from a lot of the areas that we hunt, but look, it adds up. That's 22 days of detecting right there, and not 22 days every day, I will say too. You know, I take days off and we go do coin rally cunts, and I've still got well, I'm actually taking tomorrow off and Saturday off, so there you go. Look, just work hard for it, and the best advice, like I said before, go low, go slow, find out the places to be in the gold fields, you know. Go where the miners went, because they certainly knew where the gold was. They didn't dig and spend time out there for no reason. So go where the miners went, go low, go slow, shift the branches. And one of the other things too, the best advice I always find is good attitude helps. If you're out there digging lead and going, oh, bloody lead, and oh, rubbish, and you know, why am I even out here? That negative mindset, the bad attitude does not help bring the gold. And once you get past that negative mindset, I tell you what, every bit of lead you just throw in your pouch and you don't even think about it, you just keep moving. I pick up a bit of lead and go, oh bugger, and throw it in the pouch and keep moving. Like, yes, it's a bit of a disappointment because you expect gold and hope for gold, but if it's not, don't get hung up on it. Don't let it ruin your day, because the 3 bits of lead that you dig and get angry over, well, the next bit might just be gold. So anyway, guys, I really hope you enjoyed. We are heading for our 15 grams for the month of May, and the best month this year has been January, where we hit 19 grams with the big 10-grammer nugget. We don't have any big multi-grammer nuggets in there, but we're well on our way to beating the month of January. I look forward to seeing you next time. Cheers.